why are you listening to this? We don't know who you are. You don't know who we are. But guess what? We are launching and starting our first episode for SSB Podcast, where we're dedicated to transform lives and create a holistic, God-centered lifestyle in spirit, soul, and body. My name is Elijah Danilets. On my left, I have Daniel Bangura.
Anger.
On my right across from me, I have Jesse Gulya.
Yeah.
A little too loud there, buddy. Gentlemen, we did it.
Yeah. Let's go. Come on.
We're
All
excited.
right, we're done. Cut the... No, but... Dan, how do you feel? Just tell me, how do you feel right now?
I feel great, man. This is exciting. It's a cheers to a new journey.
Having a blast.
I think that we've had so many conversations off camera, so we just decided to hit the record button. It's going to be somewhat like our conversations off camera.
Yeah.
Obviously a little bit more filtered, but we're excited. I can't wait to get started.
Absolutely. And Jesse?
I am pumped. Okay. We've
how
talked about
pumped
so
are
many.
you?
I can't express it on this podcast right now just how pumped I am. Okay. I have to tone it down just a little bit. But I'm super excited, man. I'm super excited to talk about this. We have all these talks. We always talk about some crazy stuff. Okay. Right. And I feel like now's the time. We made it. We're here. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it on camera. Let's talk about it on the mic. Let's record it and let the people know.
Absolutely. And I just want us to take a quick minute to thank God for this opportunity, because we've talked about this for years. Mm-hmm. I remember specifically the day was November 11th, 2019, where we had a light bulb moment where it was like, man, all of these great conversations that we're having, let's share it with the world. And see, sometimes in life, it takes a couple of years, maybe decades. But one thing I want to tell you, do not give up. Mm-hmm. Do not. Because your dream, on the other side of your dream, is people's lives. And you are supposed to live out your dreams so that you can provide hope and faith for them. So with that being said, just wanted us to be thankful for this amazing opportunity. And the fact that I can do it with two of my best friends, nothing better. Nothing better. Except sauna. I love sauna, nothing better.
One day we'll be in the sauna recording this, man.
Yes. So Jesse, like I've talked about, November 11th, 2019, that's kind of how it started in a sense of that's the first seed that was sown for SSB movement and now the podcast. So, and we've known each other we go back. Well, I've known Jesse since 11, 12. So my parents knew of Jesse's family, and Jesse was, quite ugly back in the day. He's
Dude,
definitely
I've had a
glown
glow up. Okay.
Definitely. And then Dan, so I moved to Ohio in 8th grade. So that's where I met Dan, and he was one quiet kid. I mean, he barely spoke, barely talked.
He still barely speaks.
Well,
Come on, we got to push him.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Vibes. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of how it started. We graduated high school together, and now, post-graduation for college, and Dan is getting his master's, which is, Professor Dan, Dr. Dan.
Put some respect on it.
Absolutely. But Jesse, can you talk a little bit about what is this about, right? People are tuning in. It's who are these three good-looking gentlemen?
I mean,
talk about a little bit about the mission, the vision, and what we stand for here.
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing here?
Right.
The mission, the vision, kind of just to share it with to kind of help you guys understand where we're coming from. SSB is determined to transform lives and create a holistic, God-centered lifestyle in spirit and soul and body. And our ultimate vision for this is to pioneer a worldwide movement, a global movement, cultivating Christian values in spirit, soul, and body, hence the SSB. That's what it stands for. And I mean, where it really derives from, where we got this idea, obviously we had this talk between us back in 2019, talking about how, we all have kind of different strengths, we all have different weaknesses, and how it kind of brings together. And this specific verse that we were talking about, I can read it real quick. It's 1 Thessalonians 5:23. It says, "May the God of peace himself sanctify you completely, and may your whole spirit, soul, and body be preserved blameless at the coming of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ." So kind of to get into that really quickly, When Paul talks about this, Paul is basically talking about the holistic approach, right? He's talking about the whole being. Back then, they used to call it, spirit, soul, and body because of, Greek context, because back then he was talking to the Thessalonians, and so that was their perspective, that was their view. And if you can see even, in Jewish culture, I'm also considered Jewish Jesse, if you guys don't know, aka Chef Jew, cooking
Jewish
it up
Jesse,
in the kitchen.
baby.
Yes, sir, Jewish Jesse, baby.
Jesse.
But he can't cook in the kitchen, though.
Yeah, definitely can. I'm learning, okay? But I will say, so when it comes to that, in Jewish culture, a lot of the things every day that they pray is the Shema. And the Shema is in Deuteronomy chapter 6, when it says, Shema, O Israel, or people say, Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one. Part of that is saying that you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might, right? Yeah. So the whole point is that it's the holistic approach, it's the lifestyle. And so living a Christian lifestyle that focuses on the whole being is biblical, but it's not necessarily practiced in churches, right?
Yeah. And it's not just churches. Like what we've noticed, and I think one of the reasons why we've kind of came to this like aha moment is what we noticed is people focus on only one part of their life.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're super spiritual. They go to church, but then they neglect their body. They neglect to eat right, sleep right. But then you have the opposite side of someone that's very athletic and gym rats and, pumping weights and, on a diet. But then
Dan.
Right. See, he's being humble with the oversized hoodie or
right.
And then on the other side you have they're lacking in their spirit.
Yeah.
Or their soul. And so we thought, man, like this verse encompasses all three aspects, spirit, soul, and body.
Right.
And, well, Jesse, tell us a little, the people want to know who we are. Like, where do we come from? Are we from this planet? Yeah, so Jesse, talk about your upbringing, your life.
The people want to know. Tell us who you are, Jesse.
Are you sure you want to know about that?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Here we go. No filter. No, my testimony's not as crazy as most testimonies, as we can probably, we all came from the church, right? And so I actually grew up, being in the church. I went to church every Sunday. And even though I went to church every Sunday, I had church friends. I had godly parents. I didn't necessarily have a relationship with God, right? I didn't necessarily take the whole God thing serious. And so for me, I knew how to play church well, like I knew how to play it. Like a lot of people, when they grow up in church, they know how to play church. They know how to lift their hands. They know how to speak it, but just because you know how to speak it, it doesn't mean that you actually have it. And so for me, I didn't have that until I was about 15, and that was a youth camp that I went to, and it was an amazing youth camp. God changed my life. God encountered me. Yeah. And from that point on, I was so serious with the Lord. I got serious with him, and he revealed himself to me personally, because I would see it from an outside perspective, but I wouldn't necessarily like encounter it myself. And it took an encounter myself with God. And so from that point on, I was so on fire for God, and I knew I wanted to preach and do ministry and do things like SSB to bring others closer to him in every aspect,
That's beautiful.
So, yeah, and there is another side, of course, We
want to know.
You guys want to know. You guys want to know. Okay. Even though, I got saved at 15 years old and I really knew the Lord then, there were a lot of other things that happened that tried to taint my image of who God was.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people can relate to this when they grow up in the church is, relationships happen, friendships kind of get broken. There's a lot of church hurt. You kind of see hypocrisy. And for me, I've seen hypocrisy in other things. I've seen my theology kind of get twisted in some way, shape, or form. And so, just quick point on this, okay? The enemy will use whatever he can to destroy the true image of who God is in our lives and place fake images that separate us from him, right? And so the truth is in his word. The truth isn't necessarily just based off of experiences, and I had to understand that. I had to learn that thing. And the truth is that God is faithful to who he really is, and he never fails. Yeah. And so that's the thing that's been holding me together. I mean, that's the thing that's brought me together, is like, I can't place my trust just in people, because everybody knows hurt people,
yeah.
right? Hurt people. And his love never fails. He's the good shepherd. He is somebody that can guide us and lead us across this. And that's something that I've held on to this whole time. People aren't perfect, you know, but God is. We can lean on him. So
absolutely. That's awesome. No, it's important. And for context, again, Jesse, you grew up in Massachusetts. Like, tell just about 30 seconds of like where your family's from. And
that's probably pretty important.
Yeah, you know, just like, where are
yeah, crazy ethnicity. I feel like we all come back,
right.
all come from different ethnicities here. But my mom's from Israel, okay,
right.
and my dad's from Ukraine. So 2 different places. They came here in Massachusetts. I was born in Massachusetts. I went to Ohio. That's how I met you guys. And now I'm in Florida, Fort Myers. Shout out, you know, Florida. Shout out Fort Myers. Shout out, Tom Brady 2 years ago in Tampa Bay. I was in Tampa, okay? I was in Tampa, but now I'm in Fort Myers. Tampa Bay.
Awesome. So now, Dan.
What's up, man?
What up, my guy?
What did it do?
Well, tell us just a little bit about you. Like, who is Dan? Like, who is Daniel Bangura? We know a little bit about you, but share insight about you.
Right. So, yeah, I want to touch on it a little bit, Jesse. You spoke upon it. So we all come from different backgrounds, and I think that's the cool thing about our relationship and our ability to influence. As we start this platform, we want to be able to reach multiple different cultures, multiple different backgrounds, multiple different ethnicities. So, again, Jesse, being from Israel, your family background from Israel, Elijah from Latvia, you know, I'm an African-American guy, so you guys see the diversity here. And my father's from South Africa, or West African rather, Sierra Leone. So, you know, I was born and raised here in the United States, and I grew up a Christian, you know, Christian values, Christian principles, and, you know, I grew up in a 2-parent household. That's important to mention for the culture, you know.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I got saved, baptized twice. You know, once was at the age of 11. Second time was at 16. At the age of 11, I really didn't understand the purpose of being saved. So it took a second time. So grew up in the church, attended private schools up until I graduated high school. So getting an experience to, you know, live the Christian values and practice those principles, right? I was confessing to be a Christian, but wasn't really living the lifestyle on a consistent basis. So
we know.
I was about to say, we know, trust me.
Yeah, we've seen.
Right, you guys know a little bit about the journey, and, you know, I think, you know, it wasn't until the age of 19, being out of high school, where I really came to come to Jesus moment.
Yeah.
Rather with, you know, me going through, you know, adversity and going through different phases in my life where I questioned what the purpose was.
Yeah.
So I would say probably after high school, that first year of college, coming home after a semester to take a semester off, and being a student athlete, getting the opportunity to play at the college level, that was stripped from me. So it almost seemed as if everything that I prepared for, from football to friendships, relationships, it almost seemed like those things were revealing itself in the sense that God was showing me what's really important and who's really important.
Yeah.
So I got a chance to sit back and not go to school for a semester, and it drew me closer to God because it showed me who my true friends were in the midst of adversity. And obviously, thankfully, you guys were two of those individuals who constantly supported me, who constantly lifted me up, who constantly held me accountable and encouraged me. So during that time, I began to get closer to the people in ministry. I began to go to church. I say this. I began to go to church twice a week.
Man, that's
and
crazy.
And growing up, growing up in the church, you would think that, you attend regularly church Sunday and Wednesday service. No, I was just attending Sunday services only. But during that time, it was a flip switch moment because I began to understand, like, you know, put God first, and He'll reveal the things and the desires of your heart.
Yeah.
So once I got a chance to go through that season, because it was a season, and, you know, the storm's going to clear at the end of the day and the sun's going to shine bright, I got a chance to get an opportunity to play at the collegiate level again and get enrolled back into school after one semester of taking it off. And it really gave me a sense of understanding and purpose to not take those things for granted. So I attended that university and ended up graduating from it. And throughout that time, you know, I was able to establish a lot of different relationships, meet a lot of different people, and travel a lot of different places from playing the game of football. And, you know, now with the opportunity to graduate through the undergrad program at the university that I attended, I am now moved on to graduate school. Yeah. So that's the next part of my journey. That's the next part of my life that I'm just looking forward into pouring more into God with. So that's my story. And
well, he forgot to add an important part of the story is in high school. I mean, Dan was a stud football player.
Yeah.
I mean,
let's brag on him.
Yeah,
let's just do that.
Actually, we're gonna change the episode. It's gonna be about Dan.
Completely turned on you.
180.
Now.
No, but so
Camera's
Daniel Bangura, he in high school. One thing I think what drew me to Dan, you know, again brag on him, is his humility throughout the fame. Because a lot of people, as soon as the lights are on them, they turn on you quickly, and then all this big hot shot. Dan was the opposite. He never wanted the attention. Yeah. But God seen his humility. I mean, he holds how many state records in Ohio?
It's like we're in the double digits right there.
Too many.
I think 12, maybe or 14 state records. He was nation's leading rusher at one point, and
so we got a stud on the podcast. Is what we're saying.
Yeah, he's the image of that. Yeah. No, but even like the way he talked, he didn't say that because of his humility. So I just wanted to say that, man. Don't be afraid to speak, and because again you'll motivate so many other young kids that are
absolutely.
I'm not trying to pump your head up too much, but you're a pretty dope person.
Pretty well grounded here,
well grounded.
Standing on all 10 toes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you keep asking us questions, Elijah. Okay, so let's just turn everything on you. What the heck are you doing here, and who are you?
Who am I?
Why should people listen to you?
Why are people listening to you right now? Why are they listening to us?
They shouldn't. No. So, as Jesse said, and Dan, I come from a very cultured background. Both of my parents are from Ukraine. So then they moved to Latvia, which is north of Ukraine. And that's where I was born. I was conceived. I was thought of. And so I lived there until I was 9 years old. And I can go into the testimony of how we got here to the U.S. for hours, but I'll quickly summarize just because I know it's important for people for me to share for people. And it was December 2008. So I was 9 years old at the time. Our house alarm goes off. We're like, what's going on? So we go to our house. House is barricaded with a fence. People with guns saying, if you come any closer, we're going to shoot. So long story short, the owner that sold us the house, a really beautiful house, resold it behind our back. And so now we didn't have a home. And then he began to threaten us for our faith. And a couple of months later, we had to leave and flee the country and move to upstate New York, Syracuse, where my whole family moved. And when I'm saying it was a 180, it was a 180. Having from my mom had a wedding boutique salon, 10 in the country. My father was a pastor. Then we went from having all of that, houses, cars, to nothing. Had to go to food bank. Had to survive. Parents working 2-3 jobs. New culture, new language. And you begin to really question God in those moments. It's easy to thank God when you have everything. But when everything is stripped away from you, what do you have to thank for? But thank God for my parents because they showed us how to live a Christian lifestyle when everything is taken away from you. They said, Elijah, everything might be taken away. Your house, in our case, your properties, your businesses. But as long as you have your faith and family, you will be okay. And so for the first, I would say 6-7 years, it was really, really rough. And then how I got to Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, shout out to the Buckeyes. In 2013 of December, around this month, we relocated. We just knew God was pulling us in this direction. And that's where I met these two amazing individuals, Jesse and Dan. Went to the same middle school, high school, and graduated. And then for me, I got saved at the age of 12. So that was my aha moment. This was in New York, but wasn't really living for God. And I'm also, just forgot to mention, I am a PK. For those that do not know what that means, it's a pastor's kid. So my father has been in ministry for 25 plus years. So I was born in the church. So I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly sides of ministry. And then at 15, at the same youth camp Jesse went to, we went to, I should say, that's when I gave my life to Christ. I became not just a Christian, but a Christian that lives like a true Christian. It's easy to say, oh, I'm a Christian, I believe. Many people put Bible verses in their bios, but are you fully living like a Christian? And then I graduated high school and went to college here locally in Columbus and got my bachelor's, and one of the first in my family to get, bachelor's. And it's just an honor just to be in a place where I can develop myself. And I feel like at this point in my life, with everything that God has given me and the tests that I've been through, now I have a multiple of businesses. We have, Danilets Detailing. Shout out to Danilets Detailing. Can't spell details without Danilets. We do commercial residential cleaning. I do Danilets pickleball, do coaching, play tournaments, do photography. So a lot of different things. But I think to get to that point, shameless plug.
Shameless plug there.
Hey, listen. I watch plenty of.
We need to get to know you. So he's a businessman.
Yeah, he's business. He does
and
business.
that's why he represents the soul, because he's a human relations expert.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And a good point that you said. If you think about SSB, those that did not put the the puzzle pieces together, SSB stands for spirit, soul, and body.
Yeah.
And not just that, is we are a representation of those three things.
Yeah.
So the first S, spirit. That's Mr. Jesse. He tries.
We're work in progress. We're all a work in progress, guys. This isn't necessarily us being like perfect, but we thought of this and we're like, we want it to come together and we want to grow with you.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's Jesse represents we all do, but his strength. I mean, if you ever see Jesse preach, do ministry, I mean, you're like, man, he is in his element. So the fact that he's able to pour into, you are. But the fact that he's able to help us in some ways to maybe look at it a little bit differently is a blessing. And then the soul, that's myself, with the soul is very encompassing. But, talking about the soul, like who you are, I love leadership, growth, development. That's just my cup of tea, my cup of tea. Well, this is water. And then the B for body is Mr. Daniel Bangura, Mr. 4000.
Come on, man. Come on, fist bump right here. Body.
Careful with the mic.
Absolutely.
Don't leave me hanging.
My bad.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then a body where Dana was D1 athlete, collegiate athlete, student athlete, I should say, to clarify. And so then the spirit, soul, body, the SSB, because we understand like it's important to make sure all of these parts work together in harmony to make you. And so that's kind of why the name SSB came to be, and we're excited for it. We've been talking about this for a while. What are some future, what are we seeing this become?
Yeah. Well, first off, like I said in the beginning earlier, we want to make sure that we're growing together, and that there's something that we're working towards in this. And what is the vision? The vision is we want it to be a global movement. We want it to be something where it's people realizing that our whole being belongs to the Lord. Okay. It's not just one part. Like you said, a lot of people focus on that spiritual part. I've been in the Pentecostal church a lot, and oftentimes the Pentecostal church is very spiritual, but in the end, some people struggle with mental health.
Yeah.
Some people struggle with their businesses. People don't know how to take care of their finances. People don't know how to take care of their bodies. And so it should be a holistic approach. That's why us three, we work together so well, right? We work together so well because we each have something that we don't have. I'll be honest, man, I don't look as good as Dan. Okay, I'm not as healthy as Dan.
Golly.
And I need him, man. I need him. But that's the point. We need each other. We want to grow together. We want this to become a movement. Let's create a movement where we're not just worshiping God with our spirits. We're not just raising our hands on Sunday, but we're also worshiping God in every single aspect of our life. Shema, O Israel.
Yeah.
Your whole heart, your soul, and your might. So that's kind of where I see it going when it comes to an impractical way. I mean, Dan, I don't know. What are you thinking in terms of practical ways where this is going?
I think one of the biggest things is we want to challenge each other at the same time, because we do want to learn from each other, but I think the unique perspectives that each one of us provide for each other helps more people understand that there's not a cookie cutter way of doing things. So we're not experts at what we've experienced and what we're strengthened or what our strengths are. you know, we each have that perspectives and we disagree on things, and that's the beauty of our friendships, but still having that level of respect. You know,
You're ready for some arguments.
Yeah, or debates, arguments, disagreements. We'll get after it. We'll get after it, but we'll also be respectful of each one of us. So I think, you know, ultimately, you know, you said it in our mission statement, we want to transform lives and create a holistic approach, a God-centered approach to in the spirit, soul, and body. So that's the biggest thing. You know, we want to be able to create a movement, essentially, you know, that's going to shock waves and be able to relate upon people from Elijah's culture, people from Jesse's culture, from my culture. You know, we want to create that holistic approach to every single culture and just kind of just spread the message, spread the word. You know, we want to hear feedback from everyone. We want to hear like how questions on how we can improve, or questions you may have. And then, you know, we also want to provide that similarity piece. Like, you know, I struggle with things. You know, Jesse struggles with things. Elijah struggles with things. So it's okay to know that you can pursue a route of having faith in the spirit, soul, and body, but then also be human at the same time. So, you know, we just want to create and connect with you guys. That's the biggest thing. Practical ways, you know, just telling our daily lives on how I diet or how I fast. You know, Jesse, how you pray, how you build relationships in business. Those are practical tips and ways on how we want to establish a holistic lifestyle. And I think that's some stuff you can look forward to in our podcast.
Yeah. And not just create good habits, but also build a community together. Yeah. Like, that's the beauty of it. You're not in this alone. Like, you don't have to do this by yourself. A lot of people feel so isolated because they have to prove to themselves, I can do this by myself. To a degree, there has to be element of like confidence within yourself. But let's say you don't have that confidence yet. We have a community here that are here to build you up, to help you. And you know, holistic is a very more proper word, but I think an easy word is lifestyle. This is a lifestyle that we strive in the spirit, soul, body to grow, to be examples, to be people that people can look up to and say, hey, man, these, for some reason, the authenticity from these three gentlemen, the raw, the honest, the relevant, they're not perfect, but they're willing to get better every single day. And that's what I'm really excited for the future, is that with each episode that we do, we're going to get better and better and better. And it may take some time, and we know that's okay. And man, gentlemen, I'm just excited. It's been a pleasure. I'm saying like this is like the last episode. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a good ride, fellas.
Great.
Oh, this is the grand opening, so we're excited to introduce this to you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. And more great things to come. Again, comment, subscribe. Just in the beginning, the topic was like, why are you listening to this? Well, now you can kind of see, hey, we're passionate about this. We want this to be something that you can fall back on and be like, man, I'm feeling down. I need some help. Where can I go? Yeah. SSB.
And just to point out, just what Dan was saying is like, let us know what you want us to talk about.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely.
Because we're definitely just voices on a mic right now, and like we have our own inputs. We have certain things that we love to talk about. Trust me, you guys want to stay tuned on that, because there's so many good things that we have talked about, man. Some things that are like, you know, a little spicy. Some things that are like really, really good content related things. So please stay tuned, man. If you don't like it, at least, you know, like, you know, put under the comments how much you hate us or something. You know, we want
feedback.
That helps with
the algorithm, you know.
Yeah. So. Helps with the algorithm.
We always want to focus back on the mission.
Yeah.
SSB, we're dedicated to transform lives and create a holistic, God-centered lifestyle in spirit, soul, body. So we welcome you. Become a part of what we have, this incredible movement to change lives every single day.